Good evening, y'all, and welcome to this week's edition of Double K's Classroom. I am Double K. Get your books out and your pens ready and step into my classroom. Hey guys, what's up? It's me. Do you know who me is? I know who me is. What about we? Do you know who we is? We is me, double KK double, and you out there in the listening audience. So we are about to have a good old time here. Welcome to this week's edition of Double K's Classroom. On this week's edition, again, just like I promised you from before, the format has changed a little bit. Instead of talking about specific games, specific teams, I am going to talk about specific teams, but it's going to kind of be more from a hot topic point of view as opposed to what they did last game, et cetera, so on and so forth, even though there will be a little bit of that. All right, so let's start out with the MLB Lockout. Let's go Oakland, who's losing tons of their players this year. God damn it. They've already lost Marte and Sterling Marte and Matt Olson. We'll see who else they lose. Texas is over there bringing in every shortstop known to man. They signed Marcus Semien and Corey Seager to 7 and 10-year deals, I believe. So, yeah, like A's got to do some improvement, but we'll see what happens. But right now, that's not going to happen because for the 5th time in my lifetime, basically since 1977, the major league owners are locking out Major League Baseball players. Now, here's the deal with that, and here's the deal with the issues with it, is that there has been a total of, I want to say 10 or 12 lockouts, some of which have never, no games ended up being canceled. In 72, 86 games ended up being canceled from the Major League Baseball strike. In 81, which was the second largest, 713 games were missed by all teams. And then the 94-95, which I vividly remember, lockout cost 938 games, and the 1994 postseason, including the MLB West. So there wasn't even a game that season at all during that lockout. Now you have this year's lockout. Again, this is over money. This is over the CBA. This is over how big of a cut the Players Association and the players get versus how big of a cut the owners get. Things like long-term contracts, basically any area where players feel they're being screwed over. The CBA, when it's up, is the time to talk to the owners and try to bend them over a barrel to get what they want. And sometimes that can result in a lockout. But here's the good thing about it. Right now, the lockout's beginning and we're in December. Okay. Baseball normally doesn't pick up for spring training until like February. So they got a couple months to try to work this out without any games necessarily being missed. But should this carry on into the regular season, there's going to be some pissed off fans. And it took a lot after the 95 lockout to get fans back. It took the home run race between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. It took some exciting shit like that in order for them to get fans back out to the ballpark. This time, who knows, it might not be that easy. But at this point, players are locked out. They can't go to the facilities. The owners are locking them out. And they're trying to come to a bargaining table and work on what they're going to do next. So good luck to baseball. Good luck to the players on trying to get things together and get it to where everything is good with the sport. So now let's take a look at San Francisco 49ers. Dun, 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 49ers. Let's see. 49ers right now sit at 6-5. They're sitting snugly in the 6th spot in the playoff race after knocking out Well, say after knocking out the Minnesota Vikings in what felt like a playoff game last week on Sunday, 34-28. Before that, they managed to knock out the Jags 30-10. They beat the Rams 31-10 on Monday Night Football. And then that was after getting blown out by the Cardinals, which I hoped would be a trigger to them starting to win, and let's see it is. Well, I think the Rams game was really where things began to happen for them. They've always played well against the Rams. They've always schemed well against the Rams. Kyle Shanahan just knows how to scheme against that Rams defense, and it just set a fire underneath this team. From Deebo Samuel to Jimmy Garoppolo, who's been playing his mind out. They've won 4 of the last 5, starting the season 3-5. 2-5. They're 4-5. Or sorry, 2-4. They're 4-1 since. The Jags was an easy game, as it should have been. The Jags are still a new team. They barely won like 1 or 2 games. It's kind of like facing Detroit to open the season. Like, that's a guaranteed win. And then this Vikings game involved Dalvin Cook getting hurt, Fred Warner getting hurt, Deebo Samuel scoring 2 touchdowns, but still getting hurt. And everybody went out there and went all out. So I can't really say that was anything other than a game that showed them that they're ready to compete. Not with the top teams, but they're ready to compete and get themselves into the playoffs, because this was presumed to be a playoff team from the beginning of the season. Like I said, right now they sit in the number 6 spot in the NFC, right behind the Rams, a game behind the Rams, who are 7-4, at 6-5, and they sit a game ahead of Washington, who sits in right now at 5-6. But yeah, we'll see how everything shakes out. We have approximately 6 weeks left, or 6. Each team has 6 games left to go in this season. Hell, the Niners could end up with 12 wins if they win them all, but I doubt they will. They got a couple of tough games coming up against the Bengals, against the Titans, again, and they close out the season against the Rams. So let's say they go 3-3, that's still 9-8. So they can go 4-2, that's 10-7. So go Niners, keep it up, and may you reach that playoffs and potentially make that run. Now, let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders were a team that's, I believe, started the season like 4-2, and everybody thought for sure this was going to be that year. John Gruden was finally bringing everything together, and then they lose Henry Ruggs, they lose John Gruden. We talked about that in the last episode. Check that out, episode 101. And then they proceed to they beat the Eagles, they lose to the Giants, they lose to the Chiefs big, they lose to the Bengals, and then they beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day to get back on track. This week they got the Washington Redskins coming in. I hope they beat them, because that would knock them even further back as far as the playoff race and the 49ers go. Oh, sorry about that. Bumped it there. But Derek Carr seems to be rounding into form. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of him. Josh Jacobs needs to kind of pick it up a little bit, because he needs to be that stud that we all know that he is. All right, and so the Raiders, they're just a team that needs to find its identity. I want to say right now they are sitting just outside. I believe they're in the like 9 spot. They're sitting just outside of the AFC playoff race. But I want to say they are definitely contenders. I don't know about Super Bowl contenders, but they're definitely contenders for the playoffs. Yeah, right now they're sitting in the 8th spot, right behind San Diego. So if San Diego takes a loss, they pick up a couple of big wins, they could potentially land themselves in a 7 or potentially a 6th spot in the playoffs. So this Raiders team is good on both offensive and defensive side of the ball. They just need to put it all together. Kind of like the 49ers did when they started the season. They just need to put it all together. But good luck to y'all. Deshaun Jackson, good luck to you. You had your first big play in silver and black. And I really want to see what else you can do. But all right, so last thing we're going to talk about is it comes from the college football ranks. You say college football, college football. Why are we talking about college football? We're talking about college football because I'm a Michigan fan. I'm about to post the score up here from Michigan's last game, and I'm going to tell you some of my thoughts and feelings. All right, so Big Blue managed to knock off Ohio State, who was ranked number 2 at the time. I believe his final score, I'm looking it up right now, 41-24 or something like that it was. And I was just, oh my goodness, I managed to watch the full second half of that game, even while I was at work. And I was so darn happy for Jim Harbaugh. And that Haskins kid can run his ass off. He was 99.9% of the reason why they won that game. I 42-27. When I came in, they were up 21-13 at halftime. And yeah, from there they just ran away with it. When I say ran away, I mean ran away with it. Literally on the ground. This kid Haskins had like 200 something yards on the ground, or at least 170 something. And like another like 70 something through the air. Where is he at? Yeah, Haskins had 169 on the ground and 5 touchdowns. And yeah, he didn't have anything receiving, but yeah, he did. He had 5 yards receiving. 170 total yards from scrimmage and 5 touchdowns, responsible for 5 out of the 6 touchdowns that Michigan scored. Keep an eye out for this kid in the NFL, but for right now, keep an eye out on Michigan. They just moved up from number 5 to number 2 on the BCS ranking, so they are officially in the top 4 for the college football playoff. And maybe Harbaugh can do some damage and get them into that title game. I know I would love to see it. I don't know how y'all feel about that. Y'all can let me know in the comment section or in the comment section of the podcast here, and let me know what you guys think, because I say go blue. I think they can, with that team, if that defense plays like it did against Ohio State, they can do some damage. I think seeing a Michigan-Alabama title game, be still my beating heart. I would love it. I would love it. And if Michigan could come out on top of that, oh my God, I might cry. Same way I did when the Warriors won one. Speaking of the Warriors, we'll get to them after the break, which we're going to take right now. About a quick 2-3 minute commercial break. And then I'm going to come back and finish out talking to you about the Warriors' recent surge, the Warriors versus Suns game that's taking place pretty much as I'm airing this tonight, and then the Sharks' pretty much hot start to the season. You're listening to or watching Double K's Classroom right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network, or on the Double K Double Network on YouTube. Peace. Howdy, folks. This is Double KK Double here. I'm here to tell you all about the Voices Presents Radio Network. On this network, we have a plethora of shows going on, sometimes once a month, sometimes every other week, sometimes once a week. It's all kinds of schedules going on around here. But what we're going to start with is the Now versus Then Network. Now versus Then is comprised of a man by the name and co-founder of this particular network by the name of The Saint, and his collective of hosts that help him bring to you the hottest topics, bring to you some of the greatest discussions, and bring to you some of the greatest music, independent music on the West Coast, hell, possibly even on the East Coast. So check out The Saint on Now versus Then. Now versus Then West, and Now versus Then Deuce. These shows air on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or Monday nights right here on the Voices Presents Radio Network on Spreaker.com, and or live 365 starting here in the next couple of weeks. All right, so the other part of the Voices Presents Radio Network I wanted to tell you about was a show by the name of the Mr. Deacon Experience. starring Mr. Deacon himself. Deacon takes you on a ride talking about his Browns, talking about sports, talking about some of the hottest topics within the communities that surround us on a weekly basis, on a regular basis, I should say. So tune in to him on Saturday nights at 8. Now, the next part of the network is a few shows, some of which you may recognize, some of which are right here on YouTube, and that is the Double K Double Network. That will be 4 shows starring me and a bunch of my other hosts doing everything from sports to music. Let's start out with Double K's Classroom, which is my bi-weekly show where I talk sports and some of the hottest topics in sports. Like this week, I touched on the A-Rod situation, John Gruden situation. So be sure to tune into that on Friday night at 8. But every Friday night we have a show, but we will be alternating between Spreaker and Live 365. Double K's Double K's Classroom will air on Spreaker every Friday night at 8, or every other Friday night at 8. In the weeks in between Double K's Classroom, we will have KD5P. K-Double's 5th period music class, the show that will bring to you music from multiple generations, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s on Live 365 every other Friday at 8 p.m. So be sure to tune into those shows. The next show that we have is the Cheap Pop Podcast. The Cheap Pop Podcast airs right here on YouTube as well as on Spreaker.com. It's a weekly show that alternates between talking pro wrestling and everything involved with that, from WWE to AEW, etc., to talking movies, entertainment, comic books, television shows, animated television shows, etc. You think about it, we probably talk about it. So that's on Sundays at 5 p.m. And then every other Sunday, the final show on this network stars me, The Duel, and Heather O'Malley, which, by the way, Cheap Pop Podcast also stars Alpha, a young man out of Sacramento. All right. And then, yes, the West Coast Bias with me, The Duel, and O'Malley talking sports every other week right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network. We go on live at 6 p.m. And yeah, so you guys be sure to tune in to the 486 Presents Radio Network. Be sure to keep watching the YouTube show that you're probably watching right now if you're seeing this video. So hi. Get back to it with either Double K's Classroom or the Cheap Pop Podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying. Peace. And we're back. Hey, y'all. Hope you enjoyed that commercial break right there, a podcast promo break, if you're listening to it on the radio. And welcome back to where I'm going to talk a little bit about my Golden State Warriors, just like I did last episode. They've now extended their record to what is now 18-3 after their most recent loss to the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are a team that, man, let me tell you, they're going to be a challenge for the Warriors. They're long. They're good with defense. They can frustrate the shit out of Steph Curry. This is a team that the Warriors are going to need all hands on deck. They're going to need Clay. They're going to need James Wiseman. They're going to need Iggy. They're going to need Damian Lee. They're going to need all 15 men on the bench and healthy and ready to go in order to win a series. Can they win a series against the Suns? I believe so, because I believe but this game was not one that showed that. Steph shot like 4 or 12. He only had 12 points, or 4 or 21 or something like that. Like he hit a couple of free throws. Like it wasn't a good Steph night, and then a lot of it had to do with the Suns' defense. Do they scare me? Not really. But are they a team the Warriors need to watch? Yeah, because I believe that at the end of the day, they're going to need, like I said, all hands on deck in order to be able to win a series against the Suns. But this team has been the hottest team in basketball. Steph has been at MVP form early in the season. No, Steph Curry wasn't exposed. They just played really good defense against him. That doesn't expose him. So was LeBron James exposed by the Warriors when they were able to isolate his or not contributions, but isolate and make him the only person that contributes to his team? No. So at the end of the day, no, Steph wasn't exposed. They just played really good defense, and props to the Phoenix Suns on that. But this most recent surge has had more to do with the bench. I think Otto Porter has scored 16 or 18 a couple of different times. Belica has gone off for 10, 15 on a couple of nights. Damian Lee is hit for 10, 15. Gary Payton Jr. has gone off for 10, 12 on multiple nights. This bench is probably one of the deepest benches the Warriors have had since that 2015 team. And that team was pretty damn deep with Leandro Barbosa and David West and all them on coming off the bench. Like, this team is damn near as good as that team as far as what's coming off the bench. And I think it has a lot to do with the recent surge. And imagine this. I want you guys to imagine this, because it was just announced a couple of days ago that Clay is basically back to full practice, and it'll be only a couple of weeks before he'll be back on the court. When Clay comes back, Jordan Poole moves to the 2. Jordan Poole's averaging like close to 19 points a game. So that'll make him the 6th man coming off the bench, averaging 19, 20 points a game if he can keep that up. Our second unit will basically consist of GP2, Jordan Poole, Iggy at the 3, Belica at the 4, and either Looney if Wiseman's starting, or Wiseman if Looney's starting on the 2. I think that's 10 deep of players that know how to play this brand of basketball, and that can get you, keep you in a game, if not keep you in the lead if your starters have come out solid. So, like, because think about that starting lineup: Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and either Looney or Wiseman at the 5. Bo. You know, that's going to be hard to fuck with. That's going to be hard to fuck with by anybody. But I am so glad 100% that you guys, that they put together this team, because it makes the Warriors fun to watch again, and it makes the Warriors something to watch again. And at 18-3, they're only in the number 2 spot by like a half game, a full game behind the Suns. And they can make that up tonight when they face the Suns in Oracle, and which I think it will be a completely different game. I don't think they'll dominate Steph the way that they did. I think Steve Kerr will figure out some ways to get around what they were doing to be able to lock Steph up like that. And I think Steph's shots will start falling, and I think this will be a completely different game. I think the Warriors even up this series tonight. But we'll see. We'll see when I come on for the next episode, because they're actually going to be playing right now while you're listening to this episode. So go watch the Warriors game. Don't listen to me. Come back and listen to me afterwards. But I'm hoping they pick up that W tonight. I know I'm going to be engulfed in watching the game. I hope you are too. And it should be a rivalry that's going to make this season. I think that's going to be one of the key rivalries. Just kind of like Nets and Bucks in the East. It'll be Warriors and Suns in the West. Sorry, Lakers fans. It's just not in the cards, is it? All right. So the last thing I'm going to talk about here for a quick minute is the hot start of the San Jose Sharks, the up and down hot start, because they're 12-9-1 right now. They're playing against the Rangers. They're actually down 1-0 as I'm recording this, but they're 12-9-1 right now. And I think they're in 4th place in their division, probably just outside of the playoffs. But wow, this team sucked last year. Didn't even make the playoffs. And this might be a playoff team this year after losing people like Evander Kane and Joe Thornton and et cetera. Like, this is going to be a damn good team. They've got some good young guys. Eklund, the kid that they drafted this year, should turn out to be a monster player once he gets up to that main level, which they're having some riffs with him right now for sending him back to a Swiss team. But I think development is first and foremost before you expose somebody to full-time NHL play, just like any professional sport in America. So minor league play isn't a bad thing. But other than that, y'all, I really ain't got much more to say. We'll tackle some hot topics next week. Go Sharks, go A's, go Michigan tomorrow. Big Blue facing off against Iowa for that college national or college Big Ten title, which hasn't been won by them in a while. It's been Ohio State pretty consistently over the last few years, but Michigan knocked them out of that last week. So hopefully this week they'll be able to pick up the W tomorrow. I know I'm going to be watching the game. I'm going to suggest you should too. I'm going to also suggest that you listen in because 4 Aces Presents will be making a move for about half of its shows over to Live 365 for all the music shows. So that will include KD5P and Now Versus Then, Hip Talk Radio, all the shows that revolve around music for 4 Aces will be moving over there. The rest will all be here. This Sunday, we should have West Coast Bias with myself, The Duel, and O'Malley, depending on how things shake out. And we should be getting another Cheap Pop podcast probably Tuesday of next week. We'll be talking wrestling. We'll be reviewing Survivor Series from a couple of weeks ago. And we'll be talking about AEW and some of the things some of the feuds that they have going on over there. So hope y'all enjoy listening. I know I enjoy bringing it to you. But for now, see you in 2 weeks. Class is dismissed.